We got some new bureaucracy numbers to break down for you. Here's exactly how much the federal bureaucracy is costing you. So there are now about 358,000 federal government bureaucrats, which means that there are now 99,000 more federal bureaucrats today than there was 10 years ago. Yep, the bloated bureaucracy in Ottawa is ballooning. Now, to be fair, we have seen the government start to trim the bureaucracy. Over the year, there was a very small 2.7% reduction. But folks, the bigger picture is that Ottawa's bureaucracy is too bloated and it's costing you too much. Again, there are 99,000 more federal bureaucrats today that you are paying for than there was 10 years ago. And let's really put these costs into perspective, okay? So the average federal bureaucrat, their total compensation a year is about $125,000. Okay, so if the bureaucracy had just grown in line with population growth over those 10 years, taxpayers like you would be saving about $7 billion a year. Crazy. Now, folks, some departments have been worse than others. So there are 7 federal departments that have more than doubled the number of bureaucrats that they have on staff in the last 10 years. Let's read some of these, okay? Infrastructure Canada, 375% growth. Women and Gender Equality Canada, 334% growth. The RCMP External Review Committee, 229% increase. Elections Canada, 173% growth. Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada, 158% increase. The Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, 154% increase. And then Impact Assessment Agency of Canada, 127% increase in the number of bureaucrats over the last 10 years. Again, those 7 departments have more than doubled the number of federal bureaucrats over the last 10 years. Now let's look at the 2 departments that have seen the greatest number of increase in bureaucrats. You have Employment and Social Development Canada. Okay, they've added almost 17,000 extra bureaucrats in the last decade. How about the Canada Revenue Agency? Well, the CRA has added 13,000 additional bureaucrats over the last decade. So folks, okay, you are now paying for about 99,000 more federal bureaucrats today than there was a decade ago. But it's not just the size of the bureaucracy that is increasing, so is the cost. The cost of the bureaucracy has exploded 73% since 2016. 73% growth in the cost. Now ask yourself, folks, are you getting 73% better services from the federal government? Well, if you don't work for the government and you're not collecting a taxpayer-funded paycheck, the obvious answer is a big fat no. Okay, so let's look at some of the pay raises. There's been more than 1 million pay raises handed out to federal bureaucrats over the last 4 years, and the federal government has rubber-stamped $1.5 billion in bonuses since 2015, despite the fact that departments can barely meet half of their own performance targets every year. Now, one of the big problems here, folks, is that the new Carney government, Mr. Carney, the Prime Minister, said that he will cap the bureaucracy. Not cut the bureaucracy, cap the bureaucracy. But that just entrenches the Trudeau government's out-of-control, over-expensive bureaucrat hiring spree. Now, what taxpayers need is we need politicians in Ottawa to cut the size and cut the cost of the bloated bureaucracy.